Om Namah Shivaya. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So, what we were saying in the last class is that Vedanta is Ekadevavada. Ekadevavada means that it presents the vision of a single person who is the creation. This is the thing we have to really look about. We often think about a single person who is the creator. See, this is how we look upon this. So the whole idea that is there one God or many gods simply reflects our thinking. And our thinking is, who is the creator of the world? Is there a single person or multiple people? So in both of the questions, as we saw yesterday in reviewing the car sales rep who was saying what color of the car you want, it is an irrelevant question. Because Ishvara is not the creator. He is the creation. The whole thing is nothing but Ishvara. This is what we have to see. And hints of this are all over. So what we find is that from a single substance, which itself is in that sense formless, many forms are based. So if you look at gold as the basic element for forming the various ornaments, so you cannot say that the gold is the creator of ornaments. I mean, that's a different example altogether. But gold is the creation, with ornamentation or without ornamentation. Similarly, the ocean is the creation. It is not a creator. Because the waves are the created, you can say. But they are really just an aspect of the ocean. So the ocean is the creation. You might, and then again, those examples are different because you can say that the wind creates waves, or the moon's gravitational pulls, or those kinds of things are separate altogether. I'm just looking at the idea of the creation versus the creator. So, this is what we have to really understand, that the whole cosmos, not just the earth, but the whole cosmos, appears as though it's a creation. But the Ekadevavada means that it's not a single creator that created the whole thing. It is the creation. It is the creation itself. And the creation is Satyam Jnanam Anantam. If you know the essence of the creation, you're done. If you don't know it, then it appears as those questions that we always come up. Who created this universe? Why was it created? Was it created for fun? Why is there dukkha in this world? What is going? All of those kinds of questions come up and stem from a non-understanding that the whole thing is nothing but a single creation. It is the body of the creation. It is the essence of the creation. It is the manifestation and manifestation of the creation. And it's not as though Ishvara created and it's going to disappear or something like this. It's always going to be there. And in the essence of always being going to be there, you and I have a very interesting role to play, because if we understand it, we are done. If we don't understand it, we are dukkhi. This is the essence of the whole thing. It's as though we are waves of the ocean that seem isolated. Don't understand that the whole thing is just a single entity, and we are crying. We're crying for help, and so on and so forth. And all this time, there is a word, there is a voice inside which says, "You're okay. You're okay. Just see who you are. Who I am. You and I are the same. Don't you see this?" And we said, "No, I don't see it." "Okay, you'll see it." So this panchavritti is very important, really. This is the essence of the whole thing. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Satchidananda, whatever you can say that, the three aspects of it. And then the ignorance of it and the knowledge of it. And if we are able to see it in that way, then we are beginning to go in the right direction. Remember, we saw earlier in the class, what is the right direction, what is the wrong direction? Where does this boy, when he's in member of the gang, it's a wrong direction. What is the right direction? And the right direction is that you just lead a dharmic life. You do what you're supposed to do, and then you'll be happy. And so that is the imagery of this boy. But in our case, what needs to happen is that I need to understand why am I struggling with the world? What's causing the unhappiness? What do I need to do? What's the wise people? How do they reach? See, we all have different ways of understanding how to gain happiness. And, either you can make money, or you can study some kind of a specialized knowledge and become an expert, or you become a leader, or something or the other. All these things, and we all have different ideas on how to be happy. Is there one? And all these ideas, they are full of holes. They are not foolproof. You can, if you interviewed really anybody in the world and say, "Are you completely happy?" And at first they might say, yeah, I'm very happy. I'm very happy. Really? Okay, I accept it, but you mean it? And then it depends on the trust between the questionnaire and so on, but the person will say, well, not completely happy. And they can't, because death is approaching. The only thing that keeps us going is that Lord Yama, we don't know when Lord Yama is going to come get me. This is a wonderful thing. If we had a list, and you see where you are on the list, just like that thing about the hand, that I talked about, that it is good thing that it is hidden from you, that there are bugs crawling on your feet, on your finger. Similarly, the absence of Lord Yama is a great blessing. Because supposing there is a list published, and the list says, you are headed for death on a certain day, do you know our life itself will become unbearable? Because you're just thinking about this all the time. It's like going to Hawaii. So when you go to Hawaii for 1 week, you feel so, I'm from the West Coast, so our vacation spot is Hawaii. You may be in Florida or whatever, but for us, the closest thing to heaven is Hawaii. And so if you go to Hawaii, you feel, oh my God, this is so wonderful, just great. You walk out and there is breeze and so on. You forget about everything going on. This is 1 week. Then the second day you say there's only 4 days left. And there's only 3 days left. And then on the last couple of days there is a checkout list given to you and saying your credit card would be credited with $1,725 for your 5-day stay, and plus the local tax, and thank you for visiting. And then you go into the middle seat of this airplane. All the things are forgotten. Hawaii pleasure is gone. It's just too fleeting. So similarly, really speaking, all of our moments of happiness are just. And so you ask this guy, he says, are you completely happy? He'll say, not really. Not really. And if nothing else, I'm leaving the world unfulfilled. So if you look at the interview of people who are very happy, you find people who have discovered their own reality, which is the reality of Ishvara, which is unconditional happiness, which is the Swarupa, Satyam Jnanam Anantam. There is nothing like it. This is the best there is. Best the possibility is. And so this is our destiny. This is what we have to really discover sooner or later. And if we understand the direction I have to go, so then you can say, is it really true that I can have unconditional freedom before I die right here in this earth while I'm still in the body mind? Yes, it's possible. It all depends on you, your own choice. It's possible. Then I want to really do this. I can already get some glimpses of it, but now I really have to follow it. So this is the change in direction that I have to see. And the change in direction is to understand all of the details in terms of the fact that this is not a real creation, it is as though creation. There is in fact is a non-creation which is the very substance of who I am. This is what we have to see, is that I have really never been born. I think I am born, but in reality I've never been born. This I have to understand. And I don't get it. How can you say that? And so here, again, I'm just, going back and forth because just to make sure that it is clear, I find that I think the creation of the dream is an absolute amazing fact. It is a very deliberate, here we are talking about a creation, but as part of the creation, this is an amazing creation. And we talk a lot about on our Vedanta classes in California on this point. The dream is an amazing creation whose purpose is to convince you to go in this direction. That's all it is. Everything else is just on the side. There may be some psychological advantages. All of those are minor. The major thing is for a Vedantin, a Jnani, to convince the person that it is possible to be completely free while living. Jivan Mukti is a reality. It is not just poppycock, not just bookish talk, it is really true. And you have a sample of that every night. Every night. Because we wake up in the morning, amazingly how, I tell you this is the worst thing on the day for me, is because you are under the influence of the dream when you wake up, and it leaves you some strange thoughts that are not real. And it takes you like a minute or so to say, oh my gosh, what was that? But it's gone. I'm never a permanent dreamer. The dream came and went, but I'm still the same person. Similarly here also, this is given an example. It's just a hint. This is what is called Shivalinga. If you want to really understand what the Shivalinga is, the dream is the real Shivalinga. Linga means that it's a strong hint. This is what you need to do. This is what you have to think about of Shiva. So, you know, when the Pujari ji talks about Atmalinga, Bhavai, and all of this, lingas, that just means that the way of knowing you, not only what you are, but the way of knowing you is called linga. Lingyate, jnayate, anena iti lingam. And so the dream, I feel, is a very important Shivalinga. Because this is where you have to seal Shiva. Because the Shiva that you are was seemingly touched by the dream, but not really. You don't, supposing you had a dream that you jumped into the water and you got wet and you're drowning. If you're like one of those, I don't know how to swim, so I can have a dream that I'm drowning and you're all wet. And as soon as the dream ends, there's no trace of water on your skin. There's nothing left at all. It is just a make-believe. So this is exactly what it is. And so, I'm never born. I'm never born. Even before you were born into this, you were somebody else. And you are the same person as you were before you were born as a baby. And then so this whole life will go away like a dream. And then you will take some other identity. And then again you will be dreaming until you find out what is the reality behind all these life-taking and being born and so on and so forth. So there is no real creation. If you want to talk about the dream as a creation, you can do that. It's a kind of an interesting creation. It's a non-creation. You can't even remember what you had dreaming last night. You can't even remember what you had for food yesterday. It's all gone. Living food at least leaves some trace in you, but it doesn't. So a dream doesn't. So this is what it is, that I have to now change directions to see who am I that was never born? who is this? This is as we saw in the meditation. Who am I who is taking roles? What is the reality about me? What is the person? Because when there is a person, when there is an actor who takes a role, there is an actor without the role. We only see Amitabh Bachchan and all these people. I don't know, my knowledge of Bollywood is like 50 years old. I don't know any of the new characters. I'd only heard about Amitabh Bachchan and so on. All this Shah Rukh Khan, etc. are all brand new. It's after I came to the US in 1964. But my image of Amitabh Bachchan or Raj Kapoor was exactly the role that he played. But behind the role, there was a real person. So similarly, if I am playing the roles in my life, who am I that is playing the roles? This is what I need to really know. And once I know that all this is just make-believe, and I am somebody who is never born at all, and therefore can never die. One which is never born cannot die. Only the person that is born, one has the parts, one has the ability to die, can die. Space cannot be sullied. Anyway, so that's we'll see all of that. So going back to the premise of ShriRudram. So the Vedic Shastra is Ekadeva Vada. This is where we began, and we took a detour, and we are back again. Ekadeva Vada means there is only a single creation. You can't even say there is a single creator. It's a single creation. And so this single creation is a mix of both the material cause and the intelligent cause. Both of them are mixed in there. Both are there. So this is where the spider example becomes very interesting, because the spider is a person who is an abhinna nimitta upadana karanam. He has the spit also comes from all the web that he does comes from its own spit. And the intelligence, amazing intelligence of the spider. It knows areas that you have not traveled in the last couple of days. It knows where bugs are supposed to be caught. And it spins, it's just so much, just little piece that has so much intelligence in it. And it creates its own, from its own body. So similarly, Ishvara in that sense. And the other example is that of a dreamer. Dreamer is a very beautiful example, because you spin this entire experience on the dream out of your own material. You don't import the tigers and the elephants and the sun and the moon in the dream from someplace else. There's no place. Where are you going to get it from? You do it for yourself. And you also have this very strange intelligence of coming up with this beautiful dream and so on. A year or so ago, there was my father's death anniversary, and it just happened. It was yesterday again when he did the puja for me on the Father's Day. This is the Shraddha for my father. He's been gone for, I don't know, about 15-20 years. But a year ago, I had a very interesting dream. And the dream was that there was a knock on the door, and I said, "Who is it?" And he says, "This is me, your dad." So I opened the door, and he was in a pajamas and robe. And so I'm thinking, what are you doing? How are you coming all the way with your pajamas and robe? He says, I just wanted to be comfortable. That's all it is. This is the only thing I remember about the dream. But how did I have the intelligence of really recalling my dad, putting some kind of a robe and pajamas on him, and then pretending that I am very surprised, why are you not wise enough to go around in this thing? How did that happen? I don't know. It is there in the mind through some memories and so on and so forth. So we have that. It's all there. It's in it. So this is called the Ekadevavada. The intelligence and the material are all part of the same creation per se. Now this question, I think, I don't know whether Nilima asked me yesterday or one of the people who had asked me about. No, I think it was Poonam. Poonam was the one who talked about, what about Vishnu and Krishna and Rama and so on and so forth. What about them? So I already answered that, but this is where we were going to talk about this. There's only one person, and they are now given different contexts. That's all. That's all it is. So Vishnu is a context. If you want to call it, Shiva as a Rudra is a context. Rama, Krishna, all of these avatars are contexts. It's the same person. Exactly the same person. This is a very interesting thing. Again, going back to the analogy of the dream. The dreamer is also you. The dreamt is also you. You create all of the people that you deal with in the dream. It's you. And so here also we will see that Ishvara and also the various devatas like Indra, Agni, Vayuhu, and Vishnu, and so on and so forth, Brahmaji, Rudram, etc., are also jivas with very advanced antakarana, and so they're also people with advanced antakarana. So they become pujya. They become pujya. And you and I are become pujakas. So you and I are the people who pray, and they are the people who are prayed. Both of them are Shiva. Both of them are nothing but Ishvara. Just like in the dream, the dreamt is also you, and the dreamer is also you. It is just that their antakarana is Shuddha antakarana, completely sattvic, whereas in our case we are a mixture of tamasic, rajasic, and so on. They are just different kind of things, that's all. But the content remains the same. There's no difference at all. Ekadevavada. It is not Anekadevavada. So this is the thing that we have to see. So this being the case, we've already introduced this, so we won't spend much time on this so until we go to the more detailed specific cases. So now we see, so this is the implication. Ekadevavada means that both the angry and the benevolent faces is the same person. It's not as though, you have one person who is bothering you, another person who is protecting you. It is the same person who is bothering you and the same person who is protecting you. So this is the Ghora and Aghora Rupa. And the ShriRudram, in that sense, is a very important mantra because it allows you to look at your and my aspirations in a very adult way. Adult way in the sense you don't escape from reality and go look for something else and say, I don't like this part of it, can you protect me, and so on. The same person, you have to go back to the same person. So what really that means is, really speaking, your own behavior has to change. When you are talking about getting a prarthana from the Ishvara, it's not as though you want the Ishvara to change, you want yourself to change. You see, this is the thing. It's like saying it to Ishvara, help me change. Help me change because I am looking at you in the wrong way. Help me look at you the right way. And if I do that, I know you, with your anger and with all the problems you're creating for me and so on, will ultimately be helpful to me. I accept it. And so it is really, the whole thing is it's not like you are saying, I want to go to pray to that person, and then if he or she, that Devi or that Devata doesn't give it to me, I'll find somebody else. That's not what this is all about. This is the meaning of Ekadevavada. A single person is both the angry Rudra and a benevolent Rudra. And what that means is I have to really look at to see what mistakes am I making and how do I correct for it. So this is the real implication of ShriRudram in that sense. You at this point is the one I was going to talk about, the Panchavritti, which I talked about earlier today. And so I won't repeat it. I'm looking to make sure that I've covered it already. I think we pretty much. Okay, I think that I want to now talk a little bit about three things that were given in the first mantra. Three things. One was Manyuhu, anger. The second one is Ishuhu, the arrow. And the third thing is the pair of hands. Each one of them is very significant. This is what the contribution from Mahatmas who can interpret it properly is. I really appreciate Swamiji's, Swami Dayanandji and Swami Maheshananji's explanation. This is what brings it very clear to us. So these are the three things. We've already talked about the Manyuhu, right? We've talked about the anger. And the anger, I should see, is also for my benefit. So going back to the imagery of the boy, if the parents are really punishing and angry with him, it is not because they have something against me, they want me to be well. So the anger also has to be looked at, even though it is hurting me. But it should be looked upon as this is only for my benefit alone. Anyway, we have talked enough about the Manyu. So I think that we are clear about it. Let's go to the second one, which is Ishuhu, which is the arrow. We briefly mentioned it in the morning session. Let's spend a little bit more time about that. So in the explanation of ShriRudram, especially the Adhyatmika view that Swami Maheshananji has given and so on, the issue is a very important element. So the issue is, look at this imagery. So the issue is that I want to reach, really speaking, the goal of our life should be, it is, or if it is not clear, it should be, getting united with Ishvara. This is what we have to do. And getting united with Ishvara doesn't mean any physical travel. It is like waking up from the dream. There is no real travel from waking up to the dream. But yet there is a process of waking up. You have to wake up from it, otherwise you will continue to be beset with this strange experience of the dream. So there is a process involved, but this process is not a physical process. So this is exemplified in the arrow example. The arrow example is, the jiva is the arrow. You and I are the arrows. An arrow which is, so look at this. So what has to happen is that the arrow has to be sharpened so that it can pierce the resistance of the air very, otherwise if it is blunt, it's not going to go very far. And you need to reach a target, and the target is oneness with Ishvara. Jiveshwara Aikyam. This is the target. This is the goal that we have. That I need to be unconditionally happy. I want to be like Paramatma. Because the Paramatma is, Ishvara is, independent of, he is the creation, but he is unaffected. Like so, the water is unaffected by the waves. Unaffected by the waves. It doesn't have that feeling. Let the waves be. It doesn't make any difference. In fact, that's me. I want to be like that. I want to be the water, not the wave. How to be like that? What do I need to do? I need to be shaped in a way that I can reach my goal. So this is what is called sharpening the arrow. And I'm requesting Ishvara to sharpen me, hold me in his two hands, and make sure that I reach the target. This is the imagery of ShriRudram. So we will proceed along those lines. Okay? And so this is not just in this. So this arrow imagery is throughout the Vedas. There was there's so many references. They're all given in this book. You can and this is Maheshananji's book, but there are other ones. Sharam upasi nishitam sandhiyata. Yesham varsha ishavaha, yesham vata ishavaha, yesham anna ishavaha, durlokam antariksha pranayam prithvilokaha shari. All of this is great detail of the ShriRudram. They are given in that. Elsewhere in the Vedas, this imagery is used, that may the jiva be shaped in a manner that is adequate for the jiva to reach Ishvara. So this is not an isolated, just once somewhere. This is a very important one, but really taken up in a very significant way in the ShriRudram. So this is the second part of the first mantra. So the first part was Manyu. The second part is Ishuhu, Ishavaha. So may you shape me. And of course a lot of that has to do with submission. And so when you submit to Ishvara and say, may I have you shape me, make sure I am not lost, may I go in the right direction. Anything that I have to do to improve myself, to be in your hand, I am in your hands. And as we will see as we proceed, we have to see what is the biggest obstacle in not achieving this. And the biggest obstacle is the feeling that I am a separate person. I as this me. This me is very tough. It's the last thing that I have to get rid of. Everything else that I can get rid of it, but this feeling that this is me. I know that I am not perfect, but whatever it is, this is me. And so the voice comes in from the Vedas and says, what do you mean you are not perfect? You are perfect. No, that's true, but at this moment I am not perfect. The Vedas say, even at this moment you are perfect. No, I know that I could be perfect, but I want to be. You're already perfect. You're not listening to me. This is exactly like water telling the wave, you're not the wave, you're the water. He says, no, I know I'm the water, but I think I'm the wave. You're not the wave. You are really water. I know, but then... So this is the kind of dialogue that happens. And so here also, the Ishavaha is the saying, make me see. How is it that I am not able to see you? This is important for me to see that. So this whole thing about Ishuhu is with respect to that way of looking at things and so on. Okay, so we have done 2 out of the 3. Then we go to, so this is what it would be, Vichara. Vichara means a thinking. Vichara means, this is a Sanskrit word or a Hindi word, Vichara, Sanskrit word. Vichara means thinking. But Vichara is an important word. It's more than just thinking. So it comes from the two combinations of Vi and Chara. So Chara means movement. Char means, in Hindi also called Chal. Chalta, Chalna is the same thing. Ra and La are very similar. So it means movement. It's called Chara. Vichara is very purposeful movement, not just any movement. It is organized, structured, well-founded movement is called Vichara. So thinking is not just an ordinary thinking. really speaking, what vichara means is thinking the way Vedas want us to think, following the structured way of thinking that the Vedas give us. It's like a direction. You want to go there in the right direction? Then follow this way. This is called vichara. So Swami Maheshananji says we've already done Manyu vichara. We have done issue vichara. Let us do now Bahu vichara. The two hands, vichara on the two hands. So now let's embark on that. Okay? So this is the third one. So now, you want to see this. To see this, there is a left hand and a right hand. Okay? Two hands. This is how it is done. And so imagine in this that the person who's holding me as an arrow is a right-handed person. So this is how the Shastra assumes it. So most of the people are right-handed in the sense that the right hand is stronger. Left hand is not as strong. But you can also have the opposite as well. But in this imagery, the right hand is strong, is the stronger, and the left hand. But both hands are necessary. Both hands are necessary. So the left hand is in the front, which is holding the direction of the arrow, of the bow. See, it's holding it, so you can either move it this way or that way. So the direction is given by the left hand. The power of stretching it and releasing it and holding it very steady is given by the right hand. These are the two hands. Adhyatmika version is who are these two hands? The two hands are the Guru and Diksha. Guru and Diksha are the two hands that will shape my direction in the right direction. These are the two hands. So now let us make a comment on both of them. Okay? Let us do a vichara on the Guru. Okay? So, I think in 10 minutes we may be able to finish it. If not, then we'll continue on tomorrow. We'll do this tomorrow because the continuation of this section is in the morning classes. Who is a Guru? Several things to talk about this. A Guru is really the representative of Ishvara in this context. Okay? If Ishvara were to be talking to you, what would he say? Is that what his Guru is telling you? Because how else is Ishvara going to come? Is he going to come in some kind of like a voice and saying, listen people, here's what I want you to do, and say, where are you? He says, don't bother about where I am, just listen to me. It's not going to happen. So what you do is you get a person and you train that person so that the vision of this Guru also follows the vision of Ishvara and says, okay, you talk now, you tell them about this. This is what a Guru is. And this is a very important relationship between Shishya, between a student and a teacher. So the Guru is a very important relationship. How is that more important? It is most important than any other relationship that you can have. What? You must be kidding. No. So here's why we can say this. In all of your other relationships, there is conditionality. All relationships, there is conditionality. This is the very nature of relationships, that there is a if. If you have a relationship with your spouse or your daughter or your son, your best friend and so on, it is tinged with conditionality, in the sense that both are mutually good for each other. So you love your son because the son also loves you. If the son stops to love you, you're not going to love the son anymore. If the son misbehaves, you can forgive him a couple of times, thinking that, it'll be okay. But the son is against you, it doesn't make any sense. It's not going to continue to attract the love for it. So there is no other relationship. Like probably the closest relationship that the relationship that one has with the Guru is with one's mother. And that also has a problem, because the mothers they may have already left you. All they have left you is some very good memories, that's all. Nothing is left. They're not there all the time. Similarly, if even the mother is alive, she cannot be there with you when you is having some problems. She might be in India, you are sitting over here, and so she cannot help you and all that. The relationship with the Guru is completely different. For one thing, the most important thing with the relationship with the Guru is there is no agenda. There is no agenda. I do not want you because it is good for me. There is no condition. I don't even want you for it is good for you. This is what comes to me, and I think it will be helpful to you, and if you walk away, that doesn't matter to me. I hope you don't. There is absolutely no conditions whatsoever. So, and also, the teaching of the Guru will be helpful to you all your life. Your mother is only helpful to you through her memories, or through when you go to her home and she can cook for you. But the presence of the benefits of a Guru are completely with you at all times, for the rest of your creation, even in the next life, because the seeds of this have already been done. This is the thing, something peculiar, that this is where we say that we need to respect the Guru, because we don't realize it. This is the most important relationship that we can possibly have in our life. So this is one of the two hands of Rudram. One of the two hands. So this is what is called ahaituka prema. Ahaituka prema, unconditional love. Hetu means a reason. So haituka means conditional. Ahaituka means unconditional. Just this is something that I am taught, and this is a revelation, and I just want to make sure that others can also receive it to the extent that it is possible. There is nothing. I don't have any other agenda or anything like this. I think I'd be lying if I say that I don't feel good about it, because it does give me some real peace of mind to be able to share this with you. So there is some but not a real agenda in that sense. It is very natural and so on. So this is the thing about the Guru. So now another thing, I think we're running out of time, so maybe I'll just spend a couple of minutes and then we'll do that. What the Guru does for you is to, I think this is going to take more time. I want to really explain this. So I'll remember this in my mind. When we meet again tomorrow, I will take it up on what the Guru does for you. And I will just give you a small hint and we'll develop it. The Guru actually takes things away from you. When we always have relationships with people that give something to us. We receive something. If nobody gives you anything, then you probably won't have any relationships. Either at least good feelings, good memories, or some money, or some support, some food. Something has to be given to you. What the Guru does is not only not give anything to you, he takes things away from you. How this is the case and what's the implication of this? Tune in tomorrow. Om asato ma satgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityor ma amritam gamaya. Om purnamadav purnamidam purnat purnamudachyate purnasya purnamadaya purnamevavashishyate. Om shanti shanti shanti. Hari Om. ShriGurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.